Welcome to this Estate Agency X podcast. Today I'm talking to Clint Nykamp. He runs Google Ads for agents and is probably one of the hottest properties in estate agency right now. But what not many people know is that Clint is an estate agent, and I want to talk to him about his journey from way back in the early 2000s working in an estate agency to today, and what the light bulb moment was for him that went off when he realized that estate agency is completely different in the 2020s to how it was when he first started back in the 2000s. Clint, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So today I wanted to really talk to you about your journey in estate agency. Now you've got to the stage whereby you're helping a lot of agents with their Google ads and lead generation, but you're also still running your own estate agency as well. And I wanted to speak about the journey that I've seen you go on in an estate agency, because I think a lot of people might be able to relate with being somewhere on that journey.
Yeah.
So to start with, can we just go back to before you were an estate agent?
Yeah.
And what you were doing originally, before being an estate agent?
Yeah. So originally I was in the army. So I was in the military. At the age of 17, like a lot of teenagers, I'd lost my way a bit. So I thought, what's the best thing for it? I'll join the military.
It's funny because most people, I guess, listening, lost their way and thought, I'll be an estate agent. And you was like, I've lost my way. I'm going to go and kill people.
Yeah, well, it was after, there was a jobs fair on, and I saw Royal Green Jackets were there. And I think I went out that night again and caused problems, and woke up the next morning and thought, I know what I'm going to do. And I jumped on the train to Coventry, and I went and signed up for the military for the next 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a big thing for a 17-year-old to just think, I'm causing havoc, I'm going to get I'm going to get myself together and join the army? Or was it saying, like, I'm going to earn some money by joining the army?
I think it was a bit of both. I thought it was a really cool thing to do. And I'm like, I think in a way that might sum up my personality, where I see something and I go, well, I'm going to do it then. And so I'd seen that day, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool, because it'll get me away from everything that was going wrong.
Yeah.
But then it'll get me doing cool stuff as well and earning money on the side.
Yeah.
So I thought that's a big bonus. And I thought, the only person that's got to make the decision is me.
Yeah.
So I made the decision and went for it. That was it.
And what could possibly go wrong with
What
joining the
could
army?
possibly go wrong? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you've joined the army, and if my memory serves me correctly, you ended up leaving the army with, like, what's the word, like some sort of special commendation or some sort of special letter?
Yes. Yeah. So you get. So I got a letter from the colonel that I was serving under at the time, just like a reference to say that it was a shame that I had to leave. But importantly, in the last paragraph, he recommended any employer to employ me straight away, which was pretty cool to have, to put in front of people as a, look, this is a colonel in the British Army saying this about me.
Yeah, and they're not the type of people that you can coerce into saying that. Right?
No, absolutely not. And then on top of that, you get rated from 1 to 5, 5 being exemplary, 1 being unsatisfactory, and I got exemplary as well, which those two combined have helped me no end.
And really, so, really coming out of the army with a 5-star rating that anybody in the world should employ you, and that you're, fantastic, you decided you would use that superpower to become an estate agent, right?
I knew that was coming.
So you became an estate agent straight after the army, or was there anything in between?
I had a brief stint as a fitness instructor, right, which is it's a kind of cop-out, because you've done all that fitness in the army, and then you come out and you're like, what shall I do? Oh, I'll do a bit of fitness instructing, because that's just what I do. But there was nothing in it. I wasn't really passionate about doing it as a job. So, and actually, one of the chaps that I was personal training was my first boss. That's how I became an estate agent.
Okay.
He said to me, how about you give up fitness as a job, you come and do something a bit more with people. He said, I'll talk you through it later on. I don't think he wanted to mention estate agency. So he said, I'll talk you through it later on. And he said, and then the fitness side of things, we can just do as a
freebie
to enjoy. Yeah, as a freebie on this. Yeah, it's free fitness instructing.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of fell into it, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you go into estate agency. And tell me about, some of your first experiences in a estate agency. How did the things that you liked, you didn't, I don't know, how did it go?
Well, it was 2006, or it might have been end of 2005. We were in the boom anyway. Mm-hmm. So this chap brings me into the office and he says, sit over there. He said, if I'm on the phone and the phone rings, then you answer the phone and just say, please hold, like we're really busy today, and then put straight onto.
That's some high level training,
boss.
that is, isn't
yeah,
it?
That was it. That was first day. But again, I think my personality kicked in, and I thought, well, if they answer the phone and they want to book a viewing, then I'll just book a viewing for them. And so I just started booking viewings. And the boss at the time said to me, what have you been doing? I said, I've been booking viewings. And then the viewings I'd been booking all started turning into sales. But now looking back, we were in a booming market.
Yeah.
So I didn't really do anything.
You thought you were making magic happen.
I tell you what, I thought I'd fallen on my feet.
I've got the touch.
Yeah.
By answering the phone.
I went home, I was ringing
difference.
everyone. I was going, I can't believe this, but I'm like the best estate agent that's ever lived. It's just.
If the phone rings, let me book the viewing, because then it will be a sale.
Happen. Yeah, it'll be a sale. So I thought this is just excellent, and the more you sell, the more you earn. And I wasn't doing much to sell them, just answering the phones.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you stay with that company for a long time, or?
So that was a corporate company. So it was a big company. And eventually I did get sent on training. And I think at that stage, because of maybe my army background, where you went up in rank and you had to do X, Y, and Z to get to that rank. And then once you're at that rank, you get better sleeping quarters, or you get a bit more money, and then you get to the next rank and you get better things, and it's all about perks on the way up. This was a corporate company, so it was similar. So I thought, if only I could get from negotiator to senior negotiator, that's where the vehicle allowance kicks in.
Yeah.
And I thought, if I can get this vehicle allowance, I'm a made man.
Yeah.
So I did everything I could to go that one step up and get to senior negotiator, so I could have the extra, I don't know, I think it was 140 quid a month.
You get the car without the stickers on, or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, you could choose the extra money,
right,
or you could choose the company car. So I drove a banger and chose the extra money, because then I have more money to go out at weekends.
When I worked in corporate estate agency, when you was just a neg, you had a car that had stickers on it, like corporate, the brand. And when you were senior neg, you didn't. And one of my friends, who wasn't a senior neg, had the car with all the stickers on, and he came into work one day and all the stickers were gone. The manager was like, where's all the stickers? He was like, I don't know, they've been stolen. Like someone would just take the time to carefully peel off these stickers outside his house. Okay, so you was at the corporate, you worked there for a while, and then what made you leave there, and where did you go after that?
I'll tell you what made me leave there was I started getting a bit more serious about it, because I'd had that little taste of, I thought at the time it was pretty easy to earn a bit of extra money, and then I thought, what if I actually got good at it, let alone just answering phones? What if I got good at it? And I naturally got on with people anyway. So I started thinking along the lines of, where can I take this? Just next door to us, this is where I first learned about the difference between a corporate estate agent and an independent estate agent. And just next door to us, there was a really well-known estate agent. And they really used to upset me. They used to piss me off, because they used to walk past our window. We were all on a row. And they used to walk past the window in these snazzy suits, and they'd be getting in their cars, which were all like, at the time they were all Audi TTs. Now, I wouldn't go near one now, but when I was seeing these lads get into the Audi TTs, I was thinking, no way, these guys must be on brilliant money. And so I got chatting to one of the guys there, and he was telling me about his commission structure, which far outweighed the corporate commission structure. But there wasn't any of this car allowance, and you work your way up from junior to senior to this. There was just like a negotiator and a valuer and a branch manager. So, but the commissions, I thought the commissions are brilliant. And that was my step into independent estate agency.
So you went to work for that one next door, or?
Went to work for the one next door, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, because of the commission.
Yeah.
Which I think probably then was the first stage of my mind going, oh, so the more I sell, the more I earn. But if they're happy to pay me more commission, I can earn even more. So I started really looking into, I kind of control my own fate when it comes to how much money I can earn.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, even back then, which was like 18 years ago, saying they were offering a very, very low salary, but a very high commission. So of course the guys that could sell were, you know, they were making a lot of money. The guys that couldn't sell probably couldn't survive, and they ended up leaving. And I liked that.
And had you made that move when you said before that it was 2005 when you started in agency? Had you made that move as the world was about to implode, or just after the world had imploded?
Just before.
How does that
Just
always
before,
happen? How does that always happen, right?
Yeah.
It's like you see something, this is too good to be true, I've investigated, there's no holes in it. Only thing that could go wrong would be the whole world would explode, right? Let's go for it.
What I've done interestingly is I've taken all my figures from end of 2005, sort of into 2006, which we all know was just mega. Everything was selling. So I took those figures and I sat down one evening with a mate of mine and I wrote them all down. And I thought, oh my God, I'm earning this now. If I just do the same, I don't get any better, I just do the same, I'm going to be earning this. And it blew my mind. And I went, that's it, I'm definitely doing this.
Yeah.
And that was 2000, coming into 2007. So we had a bit of, that's when everyone started going, what's going on here?
I'm picturing you and your mate working that out, and on the telly behind you, there's people walking out of Lehman's Brothers with their boxes, and you're going, this is going to be incredible.
Yeah, but I was 24 years old. The only thing I knew was the army and 5 minutes in
that market. That's the only thing you knew,
and that booming market.
Probably not dissimilar to maybe someone who's been in a state agency now for the last 2-3 years. That's all. That's all that they've ever known.
Oh yeah. I saw the last 2 years a lot different.
And I guess maybe a lot of people have made that decision to go self-employed based on working out those numbers with their mate. What could go wrong, right? So that's interesting. Okay, so you've gone over to independent estate agency. Obviously, 2008 wasn't too great, but it didn't take too long for things to recover. I guess, like in the grand scheme of things, now you can look back. You're talking a few years, I guess, before the market sort of.
Yeah, but interestingly. That company I was working for at the time, the owner dragged every single member of staff from his, I think it was 4 branches back then. He dragged every single member of staff in front of him and had a pretty serious conversation. A lot of the staff were in tears and stuff, but of course, I was used to being shouted at by a lot bigger, more serious men.
Holding guns.
Than someone in an office. So he started going mad at me, and I thought, what is it? I thought I must have made a bad decision here. But to be fair to him, he said to me, look, this is going to be a recession. Everything's going to crash. So that is happening right now. So you're fairly new in the industry. So you're either going to stick at it, and I'll teach you how to be a proper estate agent. We can just leave now, find something else to do. You're still young enough. Go outside for 5 minutes, come back, tell me a decision. And it was that straight cut. And I thought, I'd had that little taste of that commission, everything. So I went back in and I said, yeah, I'm up for it. And I think more than half the staff had left.
Right.
But interestingly, that was the bit that he said, we'll teach you how to be an estate agent.
Okay. And so that's interesting then. So we're talking 2007, 2008, which is 15, 16 years ago now. What did being a proper estate agent look like then? What did he teach you? Because there's a lot of people that talk about real estate agency, and they say the same things as when I was an estate agent in the 1990s. So I'm just interested, like, what was real estate agency in 2007-8 that he taught you? So
all I knew was that if you did the numbers, like, everything else would just take care of itself. And I think some companies still work like that, but by now I'd become a valuer. Very quickly I became what they termed a valuer. And what we thought a valuer's role was at the time, what it certainly was during the boom time, was just put the houses on the market, someone else in the office will pick the phone up and book the viewings, and then that listing will sell.
The magic viewing guy.
That's the magic viewing guy. That's how it worked. So, and then when I used to go out to properties, again, I didn't really have to sell myself, because I said, how much do you want? How much do you want for the house? Oh, that sounds like a good figure. Yeah, we'll do that. And a bit of personality, and they'd come on board with you. Yeah. So we went from that to, well, actually, to get a listing on the market at the right price with the right fee, this is how much work you've got to do before you go out there. And I was like, what, I've got to do some work before I go on these appointments. I'd never done that before. And then the same when the listing comes on the market, it wasn't just the phones will ring and everyone will pick the phones up and that's it. It was like the phones aren't ringing now. So you've got to do something with that listing to make the phones ring. So that's the kind of thing he taught me, was to prepare for these appointments, get the right price, get the right fee. And then if the property doesn't sell, what do you do then?
Yeah.
Because that was never a question for the last 2 years before that.
Okay. So it was really focused on the idea of, I don't know, I'm reading between the lines, but getting a bit more involved with your buyers and understanding what they're looking for and having a mental picture in your head.
Getting an idea of everyone. So getting an idea of the vendor, like why does he need to move?
Yeah.
Is he just thinking, well, I might as well move because it was that brilliant market?
Because we're in a boom time.
Yeah. So we've got to understand the mindset of the vendor.
Yeah. Where they're going to go, are they actually going to sell?
Yeah. And why? Because that motivation was key to us doing a good job.
I guess that's an interesting thing, isn't it? That's the interesting switch when you're in a boom period. Like you say, like the priority is get this on the market because we will get some money for it inevitably.
Yeah.
Switching over to be careful what we take on the market because one, we're going to look really bad, and two, we're not going to earn any money out of this if it's the wrong type of thing. Which is a massive mindset shift to happen overnight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because everybody's always chasing market share.
Yeah.
But in a tough market, like, why do you want a huge amount of stock that isn't selling?
Well, if you remember back then, we all did end up with a huge amount of stock.
Yeah.
Because we did keep piling them on and piling them on.
Yeah, because people didn't. It's funny because having lived through that, like, there wasn't a mass drop in prices, was there? People just sort of held their nerve.
Yeah.
And just said, "Oh well, I won't sell then."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the market only picked up when things got back to a price whereby they were happy.
Yeah,
to
or
move on.
you had to find the more motivated vendors. Like, I suppose, like, and ever since then I've done that. Even through this boom time, I've been like, "Why are you selling? Let's talk through your motivation about why you're selling." But we went from, if I can remember right, in the office that I was in over in Rugby, we went from about 140 listings down to 50 something probably within 2 weeks, because we called all the vendors in and said, this is what's happening in the market.
Yeah.
You're either going to sell or you're going to stay.
Yeah.
We need that decision off you today.
And the crazy thing is that, like, like I've been through that with many companies, not estate agents, but companies, you know, whereby you own a company and you go through a recession of some kind. And the big mistake that most companies make is they go straight into panic mode and they cut their fees.
Yeah.
So they immediately halve their stock, and then with the stock that remains, they halve their fees, and then they go very quickly out of business.
Yeah.
When actually your only option is to either hold your fees or increase your fees.
Yeah.
If you did do that, you'd actually probably end up pretty stable and relatively in the same kind of position.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I was lucky enough to be working with some brilliant estate agents, and I still rate them today, absolutely brilliant estate agents. And at that time, I didn't understand that. And so they were telling me as a young valuer who had no experience, saying, when you go out, this is our fee. And we were like nearly double some of the other local estate agents. This is the fee. If they're not happy to pay that fee, and they're not happy to come on at the right price, you walk away.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't walk away. What are you talking about, walking away from business? But he said, if you're not coming back with that high fee. So I was lucky enough to learn that at an early stage, that, you know, when a recession happens, or when you've got to start making cuts, actually you should be pushing your fee up.
Yeah.
Because certainly my theory of it is, well, I'm going to have to work double as hard to get that listing sold.
Going to have to work double as hard, going to have half as many opportunities to make money.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to charge more.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to pay more, then you need to go somewhere else. And they didn't want to go somewhere else because they needed a result. The people that were left that had to sell, they had to have a good agent because they had to sell.
Well, what's interesting is that, you know, lots of companies, I say lots of companies, more companies seem to be getting to understand the fact that people buy from people that they know, like, and trust, or companies that they know, like, and trust, and the fee is not really that much of an issue. Most people, if they weren't in a pressurized situation, would probably agree with that. Whether it's a estate agency or whether you're talking about buying a new phone or a new car. Of course, you need to actually be able to afford the thing that you're buying. But after that, the price is not that much of an issue. It's more about whether you want the thing that you're being offered.
Yeah.
A great example of that is Strike, right? You can sell your house for free.
Yeah.
So you can't go any lower than that.
Yeah.
Why is anybody putting their house on the market with anyone else? And if they're willing to pay £500, why not pay £1,000? If they're willing to pay £1,000, why not pay £5,000? Of course, we will come to a point whereby, it's got ridiculous now. But that's a long way away from some people that say, it's just not possible to charge more than £1,000 in my area.
Yeah.
It's like, so I think that's a really important point that you're making there, and something that you lived through with those agents that were teaching you at the time. Like, if no one will pay more than £1,000 and we can't get any more than this amount of property on the market because the market's slow, we don't have a business. It's not like we need to just plough on and carry on. No, it's not enough money to do the job.
Yeah, but you had to be confident as well, and be confident with the vendors in saying to them, I've got the skill, I've got the knowledge, I've got the support behind me. This is the fee, but we are going to get you sold.
Yeah.
And I think with good advice and good support and a good system, you've got to charge well. Because if you're not charging well, then you can't afford to do all the stuff that makes you good.
That's right. And there's no point running a business to compete with others if you're going to make a loss.
Exactly.
Okay, so you worked in that independent, and then when we first crossed paths, you were working for Fine and Country.
Yes.
Was that straight after that independent?
Well, you mentioned, which brings me something here. You mentioned sort of no fees. So I worked for there's a very big, well-known estate agent out in Dubai, and it's actually a friend of mine that I worked at a previous company with that owns this company. And he said, right, we're going to start up in the UK. And I thought, wow, because they're the leading agent in Dubai. That's massive. He says, we're going to start in the UK. So I thought, somehow I've got to get on board with this because it's exciting. I've got to do it. So I called him up and I said, listen, I'm up for it. I didn't even ask. I was like, I'm up for it. Because I know what he was like. I was competing with him, actually. We were both valuers at the same time.
Right.
And our figures were very similar. So he knew what I was capable of. I knew what he was capable of. So I just called him and I said, I'll do it. Let's go.
You haven't asked me, but I'll do it.
I'll do it, yeah. So we started this agency in Coventry, and they're a very wealthy company. So they could afford to do something to start with, which we thought was a brilliant idea. We said the first 50 listings in Coventry we're going to do for free. So I talked to the director about this, and then I talked to one of my other mates who was starting with me. There was a team of 4 of us, and I said we need headsets, and they were like, what for? And I said the phones are going to go mental, so we'll just have these headsets on and we'll just be like booking people in for take-ons. And then I said, how about we don't even go out to them? They just call up and go, I've got a 200 grand terrace, I want to sell for free. And then we go, yeah, no problem. And so I was coming up with all these ideas to see how quick we could get, because
obviously be overloaded, right?
We were going to be, it was going to go mental. And then I was, the final thing I did, because I had a bit of experience by now, is I went, just check the board, how many boards we've got, because we need a board on that's like, if we're selling for free, we want a board. So I rang the board guy and I said, how many boards we got? He said, I don't know, it must be like 60 something. I said, right, okay. Cool.
Get ready.
Guys, we've got enough.
Get on the starting blocks.
Yeah. And so day one, we sat there, everything was brand spanking new. We had brand new phones, and then
And how would they advertise this idea that they're going to do it all
They
for
got,
free?
they did a radio advert, which they paid a lot. As I said, they were a wealthy company, so they invested in a radio advert. They also invested in a big truck to drive around Coventry, just for the whole day. Around there's like these ring roads.
Yep.
So it's just driving
So
around.
people knew about it.
Well, this truck had, we'll sell your house for free, no catches.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we thought this is, it's going to go mad. And then all the normal stuff we took with newspapers back then. So we took the outside wrap of the newspaper.
Right, okay.
Big splash, 0%.
Yep.
But there's no way, there's a free newspaper and it goes to all the houses, because it did back then. So there's no way no one will know about this 0% offer. Everyone in Coventry will know about the 0% offer. So we're there, we've unlocked the front door. Obviously that's to start your day as soon as that door unlocks. And go. And we sat there, nothing. got to lunchtime, we've had no phone calls, nothing, not one phone call. And it got to the afternoon, we got our first phone call, and it was a chap, and he said, I've seen your advert for 0%. And he was like, so the person that answered the phone, he booked it all in and everything. He's put the phone down, and we were like, yeah, we've got our first call. We were all celebrating, running around the office. And he went, yeah, it's all right, but he's having 2 other agents out. And I went, well, what do you mean he's having 2 other agents out? He goes, well, he's seen that we're new and everything, so he's a bit unsure. So he's going to have 2 other agents out. And I went, what are these agents? 0%. And so we looked who they were, and they were big players in Coventry. And we knew their fees. So we were like, wow, they're quite expensive. And we lost that listing. We lost the first listing. Then what we had to do, so the big boss came in. He was back from Dubai, and he came in and he went, how's it going, guys? Are they all on? And we went, no, we've had 4 or 5 phone calls, but nothing much really. So it was like, wow, okay, panic stations.
Glad we got those headsets.
So then the headsets were just sitting around our necks. So then we got, what did we do? We got a load of leaflets. We got a ton of leaflets.
That'd do the trick.
Say 0%. And then we went out, we're delivering all these leaflets. Again, not a brilliant return on them. We were just really tired. And then the owner said, right, that's it. You're going to go knock on doors. The houses that are on the market, you're going to say to them, we can sell your house for 0%.
Because we don't think these people have seen this advert. Right? It's been on the free paper that's getting delivered to everybody. Yeah. It's on the van, the lorry thing. It's in the leaflet.
So we do that. And we are starting to get listings now. And like after 2-3 weeks of saying, I think we got to 20 listings.
Yeah, the best kind of listings free. As well, I bet.
Yeah. Ones that hadn't sold for like 6-12 months. So we got these 20 odd listings, and we thought, and it was just a struggle to get them. So the chap that was managing, so his brother, basically, the owner's brother, says to us, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this 0%. Says we're going to charge normal fee. And that normal fee was more expensive than all the other agents. It's 2% basically. Most of the other agents are 1.5%.
Yeah.
He said, you're listing at 2%, and if you don't get it, you don't get it. But all of our listings are going to be at 2%. He said, and you've got 20 houses to sell and there's no fees on them. So it backfired massively, because now we got stuck with 20 listings who we had to drag kicking and screaming for a free fee.
Yeah, complaining every day.
But now we're going, we've got to sell 20 listings, struggling listings, for free. And that motivation levels just dropped. So what was happening then was...
Throw the headset
in
the bin.
Whatever.
Forget this.
So we had these 20 listings that were free, but then we were getting called out to more now because we'd gained a bit of momentum.
Yeah. The
ones we were getting at 2%, we were like doing call outs on them, and we were doing like, who can we call? Who do you think will buy that? Do you think he'll even go and view it? We're like proper doing deals on these 2% houses, and the free ones, we were kind of going, we had any calls? What do we do?
But so that's interesting, isn't it? Because and as an estate agent, or as any business, I guess, like there'd be part of you that would feel too embarrassed. I don't know if is the right word to actually have that conversation with your clients, but you shouldn't you? Like, yes, I can. I mean, like, there's a possibility that I can speak about doing a deal for you, but think about how it's working back in our office. Yeah. You know, our guys are getting paid on commission. This house, they're going to get 2%. This house, you're saying you want to pay 1%.
Yeah.
Which do you think?
It's the conversation I still have to this day.
Right.
And if I need to, I'll bring up the old. I've done a stint of selling houses for free.
Do you think like that? You know, anyone listening might go, yeah, but you got the 2% because you had 20 boards up.
No, because we didn't. Because it was. I think when we knew there was some value in it, we were telling people why they should use us.
Yeah.
Not, we're free though.
It's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do it for free? Because then people are going,
yeah. It's like me bringing in a pair of shoes, isn't it? And going, you can have these for free. You're like, they're not my size. No, but they're free. Have them. I don't want them. They're not my size.
Exactly. So they weren't sure what they were getting into, but it was like, well, it's free, so you might as well anyway.
You should have it.
Yeah. So then we were going out, and I was going, look, I think at the time I'd been doing it for 5 or 6 years, whatever it was back then. And I'd been an assistant branch manager. The other guy had been a branch manager. The lady had been a branch manager. So basically, it was a team of 4 branch managers.
Yeah,
so
people knew what they were doing.
I was able to then explain and go, look, just so you know, because we're a new company, between us, we've already got 20 years worth of experience, and we've done this and we've done. And I was telling them why they should maybe engage with us and use us. So there's a big difference between going, we're free, just use us, and then for these 2% ones. So yeah, we were working a lot harder, and it wasn't because we had these 20 boards up that we were just getting more listings. It was because we were going, we can earn some money here, and we can really help people as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, okay, and so from there, you went to Fine & Country after that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm guessing, I mean, again, I'm just reading between the lines, but having now experienced decent fees, now the combination of decent fees with higher priced properties sounds quite appealing. I guess we've gone on this whole journey, haven't we, of like learning how commission works.
Yeah.
I get paid as much as I sell.
Yeah.
Then switching over to like, this is a company that charges 2%. This is better, and experiencing that free doesn't work or low fees don't necessarily work. So now it's the ultimate combination. Right?
Oh, it was awesome, yeah, and it did. That's exactly how it worked for me. I didn't even know at the time, but the timing of doing that was absolutely perfect. I'd had the lesson on cheap isn't the best.
Yeah.
I'd had the recession. I'd had the corporate estate agents and
it's brilliant
getting an extra
really.
£300 a month, and so I'd gone through all of this. I think if Fine & Country self-employed model was my first job, I probably would have fallen flat, or I would have just been like. Yeah.
But you might have looked across at like volume model, mightn't you, and thought, I know, but these guys, they're selling. Look at how many houses they got on the market at 200 grand.
So I might have been distracted and then go, I'll try that.
Yeah.
But with all that experience, I say all that experience, with those lessons I'd learned along the way, hitting self-employed Fine & Country, and then going out to a minimum of probably 800 grand properties up in the Midlands. Yeah. I know that's not expensive down in London and places like that, but up in the Midlands, that's. So we were going cheap as 800 grand.
Like a town in the Midlands.
And then, in some places, yeah. And then we were going, we were kind of going an average price of 1.2 million to 1.5 million, and then sometimes we get the 2 or 3 million ones.
Yeah. And if you're charging 2%, then all of a sudden
we were charging around 2%. Yeah.
It's funny. I was talking to David Lindley the other day, because we do this by design stuff, and he was showing me some stats that, did you know, 57% of all the money that's made in estate agency fees is made in that bracket.
Oh, in the upper quartile.
Not in like mansion bracket, but somewhere between 800 and probably around about 1.5. Yeah. 57% of all the fees are there. Yeah. Everybody else is fighting over 63%.
Well, if I worked out my average fee, and then I worked out my average fee in a sort of normal estate agent or the corporate estate agent I worked for, and for every house I sold, I would have had to sell between 6 and 10 houses.
And the work, people don't take into account the work that's involved in that, because it's just like, that's just our job. But it's like, but there's just add it up for a minute. The manpower, the work, 6 times as much work.
Yeah. But you think about all the people as well. So you've got those vendors, then you've got the buyers, then you've got the buyer solicitors, and you've got all these people. Whereas if you've got one massive property and you've got to deal with the owners, and you can develop that relationship and understand them and work with them, and they can text you on a Sunday and you can have coffee with them or whatever. And then you've got the buyers who you can do the same with. So you've got one deal going on that you can really get them to know, like and trust you, as you always say. And that's what happens there. Whereas when it's volume, it's like that's done.
It's the same in every business, not just estate agency. It's like, all of the money gets made in the top 1% of any industry. Footballers or estate agents or software, it doesn't matter which one it is. And our brains somehow want us to go for the volume, don't they? Because you're busy working away, someone offers you a listing, you want it. In Fine & Country or by design or in that sector, you have to start getting more comfortable with the slowness, don't you? You're not going to get 30 listings.
And you genuinely are developing relationships, because what you mentioned earlier on was what people are happy to pay you. And I found that some of the relationships I developed with businessmen, people that own their own businesses and therefore own big houses, I was developing this relationship where they understood that if I was well rewarded, shall we say, or if I had a decent fee, that if they phoned me at 7 o'clock on a Sunday, I'd be like on that phone straight away because it was worth it.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the money, but the relationship was worth it as well, where I had someone trusting me to sell a £2 million house. And we had this awesome relationship where he's going, don't worry about the fee, as long as we can do this, this and this, or as long as we can try and aim to be moved by this date, I'm happy with your fee. Yeah. That's fine, no problem.
Yeah.
So
interesting. So, okay, and then you left Fine and Country, you started your own business.
Yeah.
And was there, looking back now, did you forget any of your learnings? Like, because we've just been on a very fast forward what you learn. Often we don't take the time to realise, even ourselves, like, shit, I did learn all of that stuff in that way. Was there any part of you that started your new business and actually looking back now, you went against some of your learnings? Did you go for volume? Did you go for free? Did you go for cheap?
Like... No, I went for volume. So straight away we were like, we need more listings. And then more recently we've...
What did you do? Drop your fee? Send leaflets? Get a van?
Well, we were thinking of all these ideas. So it's mad because I started my business and I was like, what did we used to do here? We used to do leaflets there. Yeah. But then because you're so motivated to make sure your business works, I don't know what I want to call it, but you kind of go blind. Yeah. And it's only when you've got into the rhythm of your business and decided, actually, we're not going to do that now. Let's make sure we follow this path or whatever the decisions are. But if I think back to my first few weeks of my new business, it was like I'd gone completely blind and I was just like, yeah, let's do it. Everything. So we did some leaflets and I knew, as the leaflets were going through the door, because obviously we're trying to save money, so we're doing it ourselves. As I was pushing the leaflets through the door, I was thinking, man, we're in 2000, what we were there, it was just before lockdowns, beginning of 2020, 2019, 2020. I thought, I'm in 2020 and I'm pushing leaflets through doors. That I shouldn't be doing this. And then I'd go and do more of it, and then I'd call my business partner and go, can we order more leaflets? Yeah. And then it just wasn't working.
Do you think that there's part of that is us justifying to ourselves that we are trying?
Yeah.
You know, we're trying hard. Like, you
know,
exactly. It's like there's a great behavioural economics guy, Rory Sutherland, who talks about if you're sitting in a boardroom and they're looking for ideas on how to raise revenue and get more business. Yeah. As you go around the table, people will suggest logical answers like, you know, maybe we should look at a price reduction. Maybe we should do a promotion. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. If someone suggested we should put more fluffy animals in our adverts, they'd probably get fired. Even though statistically, adverts with fluffy animals in get better traction. The job of the people around the boardroom table isn't actually to raise revenue, it's to not get fired, and not sound like a knob. So do you think that part of us is just like, you know, to our friends, to our family, to everyone, I'm doing this and I'm doing it seriously. So rather than sitting at home, maybe I'm running Facebook ads or Google ads, but I'm not physically having to do anything. So I'm actually sitting at home and doing what appears to be nothing. Yeah. And maybe my partner or my wife is going like, Aren't you going to do anything?
So we'll probably come on to that when we've developed into my business a bit more.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering whether you think like that's what drove you to it. Was it because you had a business partner and you needed to show you were doing something? I certainly suffered from that when I had business partners.
I'll tell you what there was as well involved, and I've certainly got rid of it now, is there was an ego thing involved. And I was like, you know, when you see these motivational speakers, and because you're starting your own business, you're reading more books and you're like, I've got to do this, and you think that the busier you are and the more you sweat during a day, and if you can show people that you've worn a hole straight through the bottom of your shoes because you've been delivering so many leaflets and you cut your hand open on one of the doors, it's like...
Now you deserve it.
This guy, you deserve it, So, and then there's this ego of, well, I started the business on my own. I used to deliver the leaflets on my own. This whole ego thing comes in. Whereas now, I think if I didn't even have a headset, I had a Bluetooth speaker there. I think now, when I look back now, what I should have been doing in those frantic days of do this, and something will come good, is I should have just been sitting there. I should have been sitting in a quiet room, just going. So what if I go out and deliver 1,000 leaflets? Okay, I could get this. And then I should have gone, but what if I took that money and I put it into maybe digital advertising? Or what if I took that money and I took on someone that was a marketing guru? Or what if I took... And I should have just slowly sat there and just thought of stuff before I was stomping the streets doing stuff that just didn't work. And I know didn't work while I was doing it.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, even if it wasn't digital stuff, because at the time, it wasn't a world that you were that familiar with, but even just the time to sit and think, what have I learned here over these past, however many years? This is interesting, isn't it? Like, I made the most money here when I was doing this, and I was doing it this way.
Yeah.
Anyway, forget that. I'm going to go back to what we did originally, where we offered houses for free.
Absolute madness.
Selling for free.
Absolute madness. But it was so I could get back home in the evening and say to my partner, get home sweating or wet from the rain, and she'd go, "Oh, well done. Yeah, dinner's ready. This, crazy, this business is going to..." And
Okay, so... And then, as I say, so we had crossed paths when you were at Fine and Country.
Yeah.
It must have been like 2016, 17, somewhere around that sort of time. I was up there doing a talk about the digital world, know, like and trust, content, nurturing, all of that side of things. Mm-hmm. I remember me and you and John Hanford and stuff having some good conversations at the time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that really anyone was too interested in embracing at the time, because shit was working, just kind of carrying on with it, and it wasn't ultimately your business, so you kind of you deal with the tools that you're given.
Yeah.
But even when you started your own company, it wasn't like you thought, I'm going to do that. You went your own way with it, and then at some point I remember seeing you I think on a Facebook group or something, saying, I'm thinking about getting a new CRM.
Yeah.
Does anyone know, what I should use?
Yeah.
And I think I dropped you a message and said, you don't need me to sell this to you, do you?
I thought it might have even just been a question mark.
But what I'm thinking is at that point, if you can take yourself to that point somehow, none of the stuff that you do today was even on your mind. None of it.
No.
Not the Google ads.
No.
Not the life cycle, not nurturing, not
Nothing.
Digital. None of that was even crossing your mind at that point.
No.
And you would have, and possibly even did, I can't remember now, say, that's not for me. I don't really need that.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? Because now you are probably one of the hottest properties in a estate agency in terms of agents using you to run Google ads for them.
Yeah.
And you're seeing agents that want Google ads, and you yourself are thinking, are you mad? Where are you going to put these ads? Because you now see the whole picture.
Yeah.
You've seen the results of the whole picture, come out the other side of it and gone like, shit, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So take me through that path from that moment of where I maybe sent you a message and you thought, yeah, it's all great, Mark, I don't need any of that shit.
Yeah.
To hear.
I think, so my mindset at the time was I was looking for a better CRM that I could just set some stuff up and then it would just happen. So, and that was more to save me time, because I don't want to take on staff. So I might be a bit of a different estate agent compared to most others, where I just go, I don't want more staff. I just want maybe systems that can do it for me, and then I'll just do what I need to do.
You want it to be a little bit more scalable.
But so that was kind of my mindset, but my mindset certainly wasn't, right, I need to do nurture journeys. That wasn't even a sentence in my, the way I used to think about stuff. So it was more I'll be honest, it was more to free up my time.
Yeah.
Because I thought if what I was doing was I had a basic CRM.
Yeah.
And then I think I'd taken on Drip. Is it Drip? And there's, was it something monkey? MailChimp.
Yep.
MailChimp, that's it.
MailChimp
so I've taken on MailChimp Monkey. I was taking on MailChimp, and I was trying to put these emails together.
Why? What was you thinking?
Because I'd seen loads of other companies.
But what was you trying to achieve by doing it?
I don't know, I'd just seen other people doing it at the time. So I thought the way to go now, and I think at the time it was all going that way anyway, about content marketing and about just sharing stuff with people. And then I was following people like Christopher Watkins who were saying, just be helpful, be there, be helpful. And I was thinking, well, okay, I'll just put an email together that's like an update, market update. How am I going to send this out? My CRM can't send it out. So then I had to download everything from the CRM into a spreadsheet and then I think merge it with this MailChimp or even mail merge it with some letters. And so I was doing all this merging and everything. And the reason I put that on the group as in, I'm looking for a new CRM is I thought if I can just get a CRM where the CRM could send some stuff out, then that would be helpful to me. Yeah. So honestly, I maybe at that stage wasn't thinking along the lines of what if I could build a much bigger business.
You were just looking for slight improvement maybe on what you had.
I was just looking to make my life a bit easier because what was happening was I was getting really wrapped up in my own business. And the reason I started my own business was to provide better for my family, but spend more time with my family. So in my own mind, I was thinking I'd own this business that would just pay me loads of money and I'd be able to spend all my time with my family. And then all of a sudden I started my own business and I was stomping streets doing leaflets and just working.
Made a job for yourself.
And I'd get to the end of the month and go, we haven't got anywhere. But I was thinking, no, we have, because I've delivered all these leaflets, so we must be getting somewhere.
Yeah.
And so, at that stage I thought, something's got to change. So it wasn't even a plan. I just went, something's got to change. I'll start with the CRM. Okay. Maybe that can be a bit more productive for me. Okay.
And so, but still, you're sitting at a place whereby you're probably only paying, I don't know, minimal amount for the CRM at the time, and I think there's a free version of MailChimp Monkey that you can use that you probably were using.
Yeah.
That's a big leap to go from that to Lifecycle is the one from me. If you're not thinking about any of that stuff, so I guess. And then, and even at the time, because I can remember our very first conversation about Google Ads. So you weren't doing Google Ads at the time. No. You weren't doing any of that stuff. So I'm still interested to dig in. So there's an agent out there somewhere right now who's where you were. They're using something to send out an email. They've got their basic CRM, and they're thinking okay, well that only cost me a few £100 a month. It's not the best.
Yeah.
Then what happens? Then what do you think?
From which point, then, when we made contact, then, as in when you were
just from the point of what's the forest that you went through from there to where you are
when you
today?
got back in touch, if you remember previously when we worked together, or when you came to Fine & Country, your system was like a separate marketing system,
separate to the.
So you had to have a separate CRM, separate marketing, and so I think at that stage I maybe assumed that you were still at that stage, and I was thinking, I do love your stuff and everything, but I'm nowhere near big enough. I don't, that would be complete overkill. Like having a whole marketing system and a CRM system, I'd need to start getting people to run it and shit. So I kind of went, I don't know. But I knew you, so I was like, well, okay, let's have a chat then.
Yeah.
And then I realized that you wrapped up the whole sort of CRM and marketing and everything. When I started exploring that, that's when the mind that I was going, I've got to send something to customers. I started figuring out why I need to send something to customers.
Yeah.
And then I think we must have had a conversation about nurture journeys, because then I thought, wow, I need to spend weeks and weeks on MailChimp, because what I'm going to do is every different buyer or every different seller, I'm going to send them on their own journey. So if they're upsizing, I'll send them on this journey. If they're downsizing, I'll send
because
them.
You want to become known, like, and trusted to them, right?
That
was the objective?
Well, I wanted them to go, oh, wow, these guys are cool.
Yeah.
I told them I'm downsizing, and they've just sent me an article on how to sell your furniture, your big furniture, whatever it may be. But I couldn't think of these things. Yeah. So I was stuck on MailChimp going, what can we send today?
Yeah. So and how am I even going to let MailChimp know?
Yes, and then so what I was going to do then was I was going to get just a massive spreadsheet and then put all your different criteria. So say buyers with a house to sell, buyers that are on the market already with another agent, people that are downsizing, maybe probate. Yeah. So I was going to section everything off, and then as they came in, I was going to put them into the right place in MailChimp.
Yeah, perfect, until their circumstances change.
And then, and then I thought, wow, this is a mission. This is a proper mission. And I think that's what then made me go, I need to do this, which then got me talking to you again. And I didn't know, but by that time, you kind of developed a whole system surrounding all of that.
Yeah.
And that was the moment.
Yeah.
That was the moment I went, okay.
That's such a good analogy, because it's not like you stumbled across something like Life Cycle and thought to yourself, oh yeah,
No.
okay, I wonder what I could do with this. You specifically had been thinking to yourself, I need a system to be able to put people on different journeys and update when their circumstances change, and it won't send the wrong things to the wrong, and all of this will happen in the background.
Yeah.
And so therefore, suddenly it became a no-brainer.
Do you know,
right?
one of the things was, just to interrupt you there, one of the things that made me want to do that is I got an email about 4 days before my birthday. I think it was like Green King Pubs or something. It was one of the pub chains. And they went, your birthday's coming up, have a pint on us.
Right.
And I was like, you are that, how cool. Like I ran through to my missus. I was like, look, I was showing her my phone, look, I got 3 pints. They knew it was my birthday. Like I was like, check me out, I'm the man. We got pub chains sending me happy birthday stuff. Meanwhile, all they've got is a clever system. And
they're thinking ahead.
I went and had that pint.
Yeah,
because
and probably another one.
Yeah, because I just thought, this is awesome. This is like, they really care. I suppose they don't know who I am.
No.
Really?
No. Well, you never know. Maybe it was sent manually by the CEO, but it's unlikely.
But that was my first sort of moment. And because I'd engaged with that, then the marketing people had me, whatever companies, because then I'd buy a pair of trainers and then I'd see stuff coming through from JD Sports going, have you seen these trainers? I was like, wow, I haven't seen these trainers. And I thought, this is the way everything's going. I'm either going to get on board.
It's going to be hard to keep up with leaflets, isn't it?
But then my mind was just like so confused. And I'm a worker, right? I thought, I've just got to do this. I've just got to sit for hours and hours and hours. I've got to work out MailChimp.
Yeah.
We've got to get this sorted.
It's funny, isn't it? Because like everyone knows that that's how the world operates. Everyone knows that they go and look at a pair of shoes and it follows them around the internet and they see adverts. Yeah. Everyone knows that if you leave your phone on the table and talk about a holiday to Ibiza, soon you'll start seeing ads about Ibiza. Like, it's not a secret. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And everyone at some point thinks, how does that happen?
Yeah.
But it's just a system. You don't have to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's already been figured out. But when you sit in front of a system like a MailChimp or something, anything, a HubSpot, whatever it is, and you try to figure that out yourself, forget it.
Yeah, that's where I was getting really confused. And I'd start on one journey and then I'd stop and go, yeah, but what if he does this at this stage? And then it
all becomes a big mess.
And that's when I reached out.
Yeah.
And I just went, I need new CRM guys. Because I thought, if I could just cover some emails maybe out of the system.
So it's very similar, in fact, to your story about offering to sell a house for free or telling someone about the value that you're bringing. It's like, it's kind of similar, isn't it? Because when it was just Life Cycle's like, 1,299 quid a month, it was like, you must be fucking joking.
Yeah.
When it was like, it solves those problems? Yes, please.
Yeah. So luckily, and you're right, when you messaged me and said, I don't need to sell you this, do I? I'd already sat down and gone, how am I going to send everyone, for example, I'll tell you what I was doing quite successfully back then, as I was sending anniversary postcards out.
For completion.
We now do it digitally through Life Cycle. Yeah. So I was sending these out and that was working. People coming back to me and going like, wow, how'd you know? And I was like sweating because I was like, had to download the whole of the land registry, then I had to cross-check it and then I had to match it up and then I had to set some kind of system where I could send them out on time. Yeah. I said beginning them and going,
it's kind of good that you, I do believe in that method as well though, like, you create systems whereby it's all strings and you have to run around like a lunatic. And then once you say, this is quite good actually, then you find, a better solution for it.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I could only do that when I had my own business because then I was in control of what systems I was using or what I was doing.
Okay, so then Google. Yeah. Google Ads. Most estate agents, they consider a lead to be somebody that's going to walk into your office and sign a contract to put their house on the market today.
Yeah.
Everything else is a waste of time.
Yeah.
So what took you to the mindset? I guess it's like a journey whereby you've started already because you're wanting to send out anniversary cards and you're wanting to people to send useful information to people from learning from people like Chris Watkin and whoever else it is you've been looking at.
Yeah.
To suddenly switching your mindset over to, I don't. Obviously, I'd love people to walk in and sign a contract. It's pretty unlikely that's going to happen. But what I would like is leads, and I'm just considering leads to be people that own a house in the area, the geographical location that I cover.
Yeah.
And that's about all I really need it to do for me.
That's it, yeah. Yeah.
Was that a direct kind of thought process from the point of view of, well, because I now have a system that will do something with it as opposed to the system I had before?
So if I was to even sort of think about trying to send content out and trying to engage with people that were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years away from selling, with what I just said a minute ago, trying to set up MailChimp and trying to download spreadsheets and all, it would have been impossible. I would have had to have a team of people.
And I guess you would have quickly not seen the results that would have made you not want to put the effort into doing it
exactly
anymore.
And the effort would have been massive. Like I would have had to be. So I get the system life cycle, and I think, well, this system is now set up to do all kinds of journeys and all kinds of stuff, and it will just do it on its own. So then I'm almost getting lazy, thinking, well, if that can do all of that, can I have something else that just feeds it?
Yeah.
So I called a Google expert. I think I just Googled it.
Yeah,
literally.
probably.
Just went Google expert, and I took on this company, and he set up all these ads, and I just a few weeks, I think it was about 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, I phoned him and I said, is anything happening with these ads? Because I'm not really seeing anything. And he's talking about all these impressions and clicks and all this, and I'm like, mate, I'm not seeing anything happening at this end. So is this long-term, short-term? Can you talk me through it? And he was just, I think he tried to baffle me with technical stuff. Anyway, that upset me a bit. So I had to find a way of automatically feeding this new system that I invested in. And so I reverted back to what I always revert back to. I'll just do it myself.
Figure it out.
So I locked myself in a room. I called my business partner and I said, I'm going to figure out Google Ads and Facebook. And we're going to start feeding this machine, because anyone that owns a house in our area, the statistics say between 7 and 9 years, they'll probably sell. So we worked out how old we were now. And we're going, well, in 5 to 7 years' time, do we just want to be reaping the rewards of everyone just coming back to us to sell, and we can put a team in place, and
and it's not exclusive to any short-term stuff you might have been doing. Like it's not like you have to choose. Do you want listings in 7 years, or do you want them today?
We carried on doing it because I'd had so much success in door knocking and just working with people that have got houses to sell, and all the short-term stuff, doing open houses, people come along with their houses to sell, all that stuff where you can get instant listings, that carried on. It had to carry on. From a cash flow perspective, it had to carry on. And it still carries on now, because
that's just a estate agency, right?
If you're going to sell your house, I can sell it for you, so let's talk. So I locked myself in a room, and I started watching YouTube and started doing little courses and started messing around with adverts. And I was in quite a good, privileged position, really, where I could use my estate agency as a guinea pig. Because if I mess that up, then I just got to... And I did mess it up. I set up one advert, and the next morning I woke up and I think there was like 520 quid already spent. Yeah. That's a 500 quid in one night. I thought this ain't going to work because I've got no leads off that.
Trying to get tenants or something.
Yeah, this is just silly. It was just racking up. So I carried on learning. Anyway, I put an advert together, and it was over the weekend. I had about 7 or 8 leads come in. And when I say leads, like through an instant valuation tool, people in my area, they've got a house to sell. And one of them actually came to market and sold with us. So we already converted one of those, because you do get some that will just come on straight away. And so I'd worked it out. So now I'm thinking, brilliant. I've got a system that's just looking after whatever I need it to look after. So I've set it all up to look after what I need to look after. And then I've got this advert that's just feeding this system. So if the lead comes in at midnight on a Saturday night, then it just does what it does. And
then let's fast forward with that. And once you've got, I mean, if you had to take a guess, how many leads do you reckon you've had in like that since you started it?
Just for my agency.
Yeah, for your
2054, I think it was when I checked 2 days ago. Yeah.
Right. So you've got 2054 local homeowners that have given you their name and their email address and the permission to send them information.
Yes.
And told you where they live and a rough estimate of what their house is worth.
Mm-hmm.
And content goes out to them regularly all the time, and you don't have to get involved in that.
No, but can I just pause there?
Yeah.
I wasn't. This is going to sound mad. I wasn't doing that from a business point of view. I was doing it so I could have Friday afternoons off, and then on Saturday go and watch my little boy swim.
Did it work?
And then Sunday I could cook a roast.
Did it work for that?
It did work for that, and I still do that now. So, what I'm saying is, I wasn't in the mindset going, "Oh, how can I make this business brilliant?"
No, I get it.
I was going, "How can I just free up loads of time, but still earn enough money to do
because that's
something with my free time?"
Well, let's forget digital marketing completely. Forget life cycle, forget Google Ads, forget all of that, and just say your objective is to get 2,500 local homeowners' contact details.
Yeah.
Something to say that they're happy to receive marketing communication from us. Yeah. Their property address, their name, and their email address and their telephone number. Get all of that information and regularly stay in touch with them. That's a phenomenal amount of work to be done, right?
Which is what I was thinking about that before.
Right. But you've somehow managed to achieve that. Yeah. So now you've got 2,500 homeowners that you're getting to know, like and trust you because they're seeing your content via social media, via email, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
For those people that don't understand how life cycle works, how would you ever make any sense of it though? Who do you know? How do you know who to talk to today out of those 2,500 people? Are you going to do anything proactive?
Yeah, normal estate agency stuff, funnily enough.
But how do you know? So there's 2,500. What are you going to do? Call them all every week?
No.
How does life cycle help you with who to call?
I think the thing about life cycle is that I think there's various ways of using it. So you can do something as simple as there's a box on the front screen on the dashboard that's got a number on it that says these are potential listings. And I don't know exactly how it does it, but it's to do with them coming back onto your website, or they check their valuation, or they maybe
have you ever tried calling them?
Or read a key article. I wrote an article. It was so simple. I wrote it in February and I sent it out to this database and I said, what to do if you're thinking about selling in March? Just in February I did that.
Yeah.
And then I just watched who read it.
Watched the number go up on the dashboard?
Yeah. And then as they read it, I just called them.
And what happened?
Well, for a start, the conversations were brilliant because it wasn't like me phoning someone out of the blue. Sorry to call you out of the blue, but I don't know if you remember, but 23 and a half months ago, you did an instant valuation. Were you looking to sell then? Are you looking to sell now? You what? You're doing your shopping? No, like just a write-off. But these people had just read an article going, if you're looking to sell in March 2023, these are the things we suggest doing.
Yep.
They've read that within hours. I'm on the phone to them and they're going, oh yeah, so we've just read this article. And I'm thinking, why?
Yeah.
Why have you read that article? And this is what I'm all about now, is working out why people are doing stuff. So if you're reading an article about selling your house in March,
yep.
Come on. Unless you are bored out your mind.
So did it yield any results speaking to those people?
Yes. So we had, so this is the interesting thing. That was sent out to all, at that stage, I think 1,500 leads that had come in, and I sent them out. Do you know how many people read that article? And I guess how many do you think would read that article out? 1,500?
20.
42 read it. Right, so 42, which I thought at first I went, oh no, it hasn't worked. And then I thought, of course it's worked.
Yeah.
It's not 1,500 people that are going, yeah, I'm selling in March. They're not going to be selling in March.
42 people that put their hand
so all
up.
this is as simple, and I don't care how it does it. I'm not really interested because I haven't built the software, whatever. But all I know is if I send an article out and it has like some kind of deadline, the people that read it have read it for a reason. And so I talk to them about that reason, and we either carry on with the conversation, we end up listing the house, or we carry on with that conversation and it turns into, yeah, we were umming and ahhing, but we've actually decided not to now. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, but decent conversations and only
42
calls, which probably results in maybe getting through to 10 or 20 people.
Can you imagine trying to call 1,500 people and go, I sent you an article last week, did you read it?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
You just don't know.
There's another one that a lot of our agents talk about, which is they set up when they use when they first join Lifecycle, which is after a certain amount of time of marking a valuation as instructed another agent, they get a piece of content that says what to do if you're not happy with your agent. And a lot of agents say to me like, when it comes up saying someone's been reading that, it's like,
I read one,
be any more on a plate.
In that same journey, I don't know, because we've all set up individual journeys, but in one of my journeys it talks about why it's important to have a video tour. Right. When someone reads that, I just go on to Rightmove.
Have they got a video
Have
tour?
a quick look, and if they haven't got a video, I'm going,
lovely.
Hello, I sent you an email the other day, and they go,
have you got a video tour by any chance? So, all right, I want to try and wrap it up. We could just go on and on forever, but
could do,
for the people that are listening that can relate somewhere with that journey and the light bulb that went off for you and the change, like, genuinely, what do you think that they should be doing? They're in a market at the moment. I mean, this podcast will live forever, so the market will change. But currently, the market's quite slow, quite sluggy. Like, there are probably a lot of people sitting there scratching their heads, thinking like, we need to think of maybe a different way of doing this, whether it be from a manpower perspective or from if nothing's happening now, we need to start thinking about the long term. Like,
so you know when
and sorry, let me just add to that as well. And also, one of the biggest mistakes that you see with people that are running Google ads or Facebook ads looking for listings. So all of that, if you can just wrap that up for me.
So, you know when something goes wrong in your life, whatever it may be, everything's good and everything's ticking along nicely, and then something happens and you need to talk to someone. Like, who's that someone? Who is that someone? If something went completely tits up, example, who would you call?
For me, probably be Hayley.
Yeah, so your wife, right?
Unless it was something I'd done that was going to annoy Hayley.
Then you call me.
And then I'd call you and be like, right, get me a gun and get me out of here.
So straight away, and it's all humans do this, is as soon as something starts going wrong or they need something now, it's their best mate or their wife or someone that's been around, someone that they know they can get on the phone to, and they're not going to be like, well, why don't I sell you this? Or why don't I do this for you? And it's going to be a bit weird. It's just going to be someone on the other end of the phone going, oh, mate, that happened to me once. Right? Do you want to catch up and have a beer? And that's the person you trust, and you probably know them, and you probably like them as well. In your case, you probably like your wife.
Sometimes.
So that, I suppose, is the state, not quite as intimate as that, obviously, but a homeowner will have some kind of pain point, will have something that's putting pressure on them to sell. And it'll be that their wife is now unexpectedly pregnant and they have to get a bigger house. It'll be that the kid's school is just a nightmare and they've found this other school and they have to move into that area by this date.
Or even if just their current life is frustrating them, something.
It might be debt. In this current conditions with interest rates and everything else, debt might just be on them. They're not going to want to phone some estate agent they don't know and go, hi mate, I don't really want to tell you why, but I need to sell my house. Because they don't want to say, oh, I've just split with my wife or the debt's got too much or whatever. However, if they know Clint and they've had a conversation with me a couple of years back.
They've seen a lot of your videos.
They've seen my videos, and then they've been getting helpful content. And then at the right moment, they start getting this content that's really relevant to them. And they're going, and I'm only a WhatsApp message away, Clint, mate, I need to speak to you. And that's what I get nowadays. I get, mate, we need to have a chat. I'll show you after this. I got one on the train on the way here. He's actually abroad at the moment. And because he's abroad, he just needs someone to get his buy-to-let, which is now empty. He just needs someone to get on the market.
And that's just come through.
He knows who I am. He knows who I am. He's been on my system for, must be 2 years now. It must be one of the original bit of data that I put on there. And he's messaged me today to say, I just need you to go out and sell this house. There's no question on the fee. There's no question on who I am, how I operate, anything like that. He's just like, can you go out and sell it?
Amazing.
What was the other part of that question?
People that set up like Silver Bullet, Google ads, Facebook ads, this will get me listings. And then I'm guessing they come back to you and go, I had any listings.
So now that I've worked with 60 odd estate agents now. And it's interesting because you get to see both ends of the scale as to how they operate and what they do. The only clients, so in a business like mine, quite often you get what's it called, a churn rate. You get people, we don't need a service anymore, and moving on.
Yeah.
The only people that I've lost in this new journey of mine, helping people with Google Ads, are the ones that have got nothing behind the Google Ads. The only ones. There's not been anyone that said, Clint, I don't need any more leads, when they've got something decent working for them in the background. So for example, I had a fairly local agent actually to me. He called me up and he goes, Clint, I've known you for years, mate. Like, that's amazing what you're doing. Can you do it for me? Yeah, no problem. Got him all set up. The leads start coming in. And I know how many leads I can get in for what cost. So I said, this is how many leads you're going to get.
And to be clear, you and I are considering leads to be first name, surname, telephone number, email address, house address of a local homeowner, not an instruction, right?
Yeah, just a lead, just like someone who owns a house. Because at some stage they're going to sell that house.
So the leads are coming in.
I'm happy with that, Because the more of those you get, the more
provided
business
you have
you're
a
going to
system.
get. Provided you can speak to these people.
Right.
So he calls me up 2 months later, and the adverts are working well. Like, the algorithm's on fire.
Yeah.
He's got nearly 300 leads. And he calls me up and he went, so we've had 3 or 4 of them come good. And I went, that's good, mate. Nice one. So it's kind of paying for itself already.
Yeah.
And he went, but the rest of them, like, they're not selling yet. So we're going to stop. Yeah. We're going to stop the leads for now. And I went, what do you mean stop? I'm giving you leads. Like, I'm giving you names, numbers, and addresses of people that are going to sell. And you're not going to stop your business in the next 2 years. So even if they're selling 3 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, you are still going to be around. Like, they've been around since, I don't know, they've one of these agents that's been around forever. And he said, yeah, but we're not really doing anything with them. We phoned them all.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. If you phone 100 leads, and even if they say, so if you phone one lead, hi, John, are you looking to sell? No, not at the moment, Clint, but I might be looking to sell next month.
But like you say, it's because there's no system behind it, right?
Yeah.
What is he supposed to do with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do, because I'd be sitting with all these leads going, shall I phone them again?
Yeah.
Just see what they say this time?
And
I know he said no a few weeks ago.
That could be a really easy problem to fall into, because traditionally, like 95% of all of estate agency doesn't have a system to deal with that. So unless they happen to have listened to this podcast or happen to have stumbled across something that talks about it, there's nothing immediately that would make them see the problem. They just go like, well,
there's also
been this lot.
Interestingly, and there are other nurture systems that I've come across that have got a time limit on them.
Yes. Yeah.
And some of them are months. Some of them I'm talking months.
Yeah.
So they go a few months down the line, they get some great content, and then they just go,
that's it, off the radar.
Going to go good.
If it's not going to go in 3 months, then fuck them.
Yeah. So that's,
We'll go looking for new leads to throw away.
So that's been my experience, in that at first they think it's the silver bullet, which it can be. Because it can be a massive silver bullet.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be hoping that that's what's going to bring you instructions. Should you, like, now?
The way I look at it now, and certainly the way I talk to new clients, and let me tell you that I don't take clients on now unless they've got some kind of system in place.
Yeah.
It's not worth my time.
No.
It's not worth my time.
It's only going to go one way, isn't it? What can you possibly do? You've just proven it. I can get you 300 leads. What are you going to do with them?
And then he was like, that's too many.
Yeah.
I thought, well, is it?
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. If anyone's listening to this and they do want to reach out and have a chat with you about anything, you're in the Estate Agency X Facebook group, I know that.
Yes.
But like, you're on other social medias, and
I'm on Instagram,
what's the one that you're most likely to answer?
Probably
the
Facebook.
Message? Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks very much for coming in, Clint.
No problem.
Thanks for listening to this Estate Agency X podcast. Can you make sure that you're actually subscribed to this podcast channel if you liked the content? It helps us massively to get better guests, and it just helps us generally. So you might think you're subscribed, but just have a double check, whatever your podcast platform of preference is, that you're actually subscribed, and then that way we can continue to grow the channel and get better and better guests for you.